K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com. Mark your calendar from May 21st through the 23rd for the Southern Republican Leadership Conference in Oklahoma City. K98 Talk's Rick Robinson and Grouchy from the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show will be there to cover each day's events. Join them at the conference to hear keynote Republican speakers. Now, here's Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin.
On behalf of the Oklahoma Republican Party and the entire Southern Republican Leadership Conference Committee, welcome to Oklahoma City, ranked by the National Geographic as one of the must-see places in the world in 2015. I'm Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin, and the road to win back the White House begins in Oklahoma City with the Southern Republican Leadership Conference. Your participation in this historic conference is crucial to the conservative cause and energizing America. The 2016 presidential election promises to be the most important election in our lifetime, and the choices that we make in the next 2 years will define America for the next generation. We're excited to host you in Oklahoma as we begin our shared Republican journey towards capturing the White House and getting this country back on track.
Don't miss this opportunity to hear well-known leaders from the Republican Party as they discuss the upcoming presidential race for 2016 and where they stand on issues facing America today. It starts May 21st and runs through the 23rd. To register, go online to okgop.com or contact the Oklahoma Republican Party. Seats are going fast, so register today.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect just to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those on the take. Attorney General's lying even while
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks, well, happy Tuesday evening. We've officially made it into the work week now. Monday is history. Now Tuesday is in the books. Tomorrow, hey, Mike, guess what day it is, Mike? Mike, guess what day it is? Okay, yeah, I'm about as tired of that joke as you guys are. Although there is a guy named Mike at the day job, and I like to randomly throw that out on Wednesday just to piss him off. All right, so anyway, that being said, for those of you who are listening right now and are listening through Spreaker or maybe somewhere where it shows you the title, right now you're probably freaking out a little bit. For those of you that are listening on all the other methods that we have, I'll explain in a moment. But just to make sure that we've gone over this, because I haven't in a while, and we do have some new listeners, so I want to make sure that everybody's aware of everything. There are several ways to find this particular show. You can find it through our parents' feed section, which is through Spreaker. As of now, all of the shows will actually start backing up to the Spark Radio Network SoundCloud channel. I finally figured out how to make that happen. That even does include the stuff that's not technically owned by us, so there might be some house cleaning going on there. But it was the quickest, easiest way that I could make sure that type of stuff started happening. So we've got Spreaker, we've got SoundCloud, you've got YouTube. You can find it on my personal YouTube channel, Ricky Robinson. You can look it up, all the shows back up there. This show is on iHeartRadio. Yay. Awesome. I gotta say, the more this goes on, the happier I am that that's actually happened, because we keep trying to duplicate that success with some of the other shows, and we keep getting that every time we try. So I'm not quite sure why it worked out so well on mine, because some of the other shows that we've tried to submit, I thought were better than mine, and iHeart's like, no. So yay for me, because that's worked out pretty well. I've gotten pretty well known since I've been on iHeart. Also, we have Stitcher. I am slowly... Come on, guys. You hear how much I work. I'm slowly trying to get everybody else's shows over on Stitcher, too. But when you're doing almost everything, and you've got a day job, and you've got a family, and you've got everything else, then yeah, I'm going to whine for a second, so get over it. I'm just saying. Anyway, okay, so I'm officially done now. But I do hope that you caught that commercial that we played right before the show went live, because the Southern Republican Leadership Conference is coming up soon, and Grouchy and I are going to be there. Again, for all of you who follow us on Twitter, you listen. I know you're out there. We've got good numbers on both shows, so I know you're there. If you have questions and you want us to get them asked for you, then you have to get them to us. I don't care if they come to me. I don't care if they come to Grouchy. But let's get them. Let's get them out there. I don't know if he's had the chance to give this out for yet, so I'm gonna. Well, no. He's with you tomorrow. I'll let him do that tomorrow. I don't want to steal his thunder. He was pretty excited that I finally got around to setting that up for him. Pardon me. But yeah, so hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Facebook. Send me an email. Smoke signals. Carrier pigeons. I don't care. Just give me your questions. As long as I can get them. Like I said, we want to make this as interactive for you guys as possible. And I'm not sure what the heck that just was, but that really freaked me out. Something just knocked in my headset, and it was really, really creepy. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but if you're wondering why I got really quiet, it was a little scary. So, yeah. Anyway, so back to what I was saying a moment ago. Also done some routine maintenance on the computer and added a new firewall, so it's being a little crazy. It keeps asking me all kinds of questions every time I turn around, so that may have something to do with it. I'm not sure. Okay, but anyway, so... back to where I was before I got sidetracked by the Southern Republican Leadership Conference. Hey, can't blame a guy for being excited. So we have, the show also has an app. You can download it from the App Store, or the Android Store, sorry. Or Google Play, I guess is what they call it now. I know, I'm old, shut up. So basically, if you put America Off the Rails in quotation marks, you will instantly find it. You can download it, take the show anywhere you want to go. We do have, of course, this show live on TuneIn every time that it does. Anytime it is carried live, it is, of course, carried by the station's TuneIn server. Or you can also catch it live on K98Talk.com, where there is a chat room. And I, for once, am actually in there. So anybody who wants to come hang out, make sure to come hit me up. Or actually, I say I'm in there, but I think my computer is being retarded again because it doesn't seem to want to let me in. See, this is why I can't ever use nice things. Because it doesn't ever let me in anywhere. Which is odd, because I can see somebody else in there, but it won't let me in there. It's more than a little freaky-deaky. Nope, not working for me. Okay, so I'm going to back out of there for now, because it's not doing me any good to be in there. And honestly, not really too many of you in there right now anyway. So for the couple of you that were in there, hi, bye. I will come hang out as soon as I get my computer actually doing what it's supposed to do again. Okay, so I've wasted enough time. So show for this evening. For those of you who can see the title right now, you are probably either considering throwing something at me or composing hate mail. Because the title of this week or tonight's show is "The Police Are the New Terrorists." Of course, before anybody freaks out, I'm not saying they are. I'm saying that's how they're being treated. And we'll go into that a little bit more as we continue to move forward. Now, I bring this up, and mainly it's going to take me a second to get it pulled back up again, because I want to make sure that I mention him by name, because he deserves it. So give me just 1 second. And the reason I say that it'll take me a second to get this pulled up is I want to make sure that I actually talk about the young man who was shot in New York City this week, because it doesn't seem like much of anybody else is going to do it. And I'm not saying that to be mean, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one out there trying to make a difference. What I'm saying is the folks that honestly matter, the folks that really have people's ears and really have people's attention, typically don't talk about this kind of stuff, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because I did this type of work for a while, so it hits close to home for me. I don't know if it's just because that's the type of person I am or whatever it may be, but my issue with this is, and I'll explain in a moment again once I'm done trying to type, exactly why I have such a big problem with this. Give me just one moment. One of these days I'll get the... Okay, so Brian Moore is the name of the officer. Now here's my problem. When the Ferguson stuff happened, there was a 3-person entourage that went to that went to Ferguson to honor the fallen hero Michael Brown. Where's the president talking about this kid? This kid's 25 years old. Yes, at my age, I'm allowed to call a 25-year-old a kid. This breaks my heart every time I hear a story like this, because it's the situation in this country that is making things like this worse and worse and worse, and people are starting to understand that they really can get away with doing stupid things to police officers. And it's one of the things that's completely driving me crazy. So let's just read a little bit about this today. NYPD officer Brian Moore remembered for selflessness and courage. And this was a report put together by CNN at 6:04 p.m. yesterday. And actually, it has a video, but I haven't listened to it yet, so I'm not sure I'm going to let it air.
So I'm happy.
So let me do that, because it looks like it's going to try to play it whether I want it to or not. New York mourned another fallen police officer Tuesday as authorities sought a first-degree murder charge against a man accused of killing Officer Brian Moore. Moore, 25, had been in critical condition since Saturday when he and a fellow officer were shot at while trying to question a man in Queens. Moore was struck in the head. The other officer was uninjured. Flags at city and state of New York government buildings will be flown at half-staff in memory of Moore until his internment on Friday. Officer Moore put his life on the line in order to protect his fellow New Yorkers, and our state is a better place. Because of him, Governor Andrew Cuomo said in a statement. Like so many of his brothers and sisters in uniform, Officer Moore served with selflessness and courage, and he will be greatly missed. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. His wake will be Thursday at Frank J. Chappie and Sons Funeral Home in Bethpage on Long Island, and the funeral will be Friday at St. James Roman Catholic Church in Seaford. JetBlue, and no, they're not a sponsor, but I think this is important. JetBlue said it was offering free airfare to law enforcement officers attending Moore's funeral. So if any of you are still active duty law enforcement, and want to attend, apparently you might be able to get a free ticket to get over there. The New York Mets will honor Moore with a moment of silence at Tuesday night's game against the Baltimore Orioles, CNN affiliate WCBS-TV reported, and the team will wear NYPD caps during batting practice. So I don't understand. Why can the President of the United States send people like the Attorney General and other people of note to a young man who admittedly died too early, but he died by his own choosing? You can't say that about this officer. Anybody who puts on a badge and a gun every day realizes there's a chance they're going to come home, but they don't honestly plan on that happening. This kid knew the risks, but that doesn't change the fact that it shouldn't have happened. The kid in Ferguson, all he had to do was act normal. I mean, how different would that entire scenario have turned out if he had just not jaywalked? Let's be real. That's the first thing the officer really stopped him about before he even really recognized the kid from the radio call, was because they were goofing off in the middle of the street. If he had been a smarter person, and I'm not saying that to be mean, but apparently if you're going to be dumb enough to play in the street after you just robbed a convenience store, I'm sorry, but that's my point. The president can send somebody to that funeral. I wonder if anybody's going to be sent to this funeral. Was anyone sent to Chris Kyle's funeral? No. Should they have been? Hell yes. We're honoring the wrong people in this country anymore. We're not honoring the true heroes. The word hero is thrown around like it's freaking candy. Somebody rescues a kitten from a tree, and all of a sudden they're like a million-hit YouTube sensation. A guy took a bullet and died trying to do his job. And he knew what he signed up for, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve respect. But let's be real, let's be honest, there's an agenda here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm telling you right now, the reason, I mean, you can see it, I know you can feel it, there has been such a shift towards the police in this nation in the last 5 years. Because nobody talks about when they do the right thing, they only talk about when they screw up. And we live in a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week news cycle where there's always something on. It doesn't even have to be on TV anymore, and it's damn sure not in print. Let's face it, print, as far as a paper medium, is nearly dead. But we have internet-based news now, and we have internet-based TV stations and internet-based radio stations. And yes, I admit I am programming director of one of those, but that doesn't matter. Because a lot of the internet-based stuff is starting for the right reasons. We're tired of everything just always being about how much money can we rake in and how quick can we get there. That's not what a lot of us that do this on the internet started this for. We did it because we want to make a difference. That's what this kid died for, was because he felt a calling to make a difference. And all I want to know is the president going to send someone to his funeral like he's been doing to all these thugs? And I don't care if you want to tell me that thug is the new N-word. I will say thug as much as I want to. It's called free speech. The kid in Ferguson was acting like a thug. The police officer wasn't. Whoever shot the cop was acting like a thug because he didn't need to shoot the cop. I mean, he died because he tried to question a guy. Are you serious? Everybody's like saying all these harsh things about Baltimore PD because they stood there and they watched while everything burned. I have to tell you, if I was active duty in this day and age, I don't know how much I would do either. I would get in my car, I would do the minimum I had to do, and I would make sure that I went home at night. Because it's not worth it anymore. Half of the police officers that are retiring now don't have their pensions any longer. If they do have them, they've been reworked so often that they're not worth what they were when they started and what they thought they were going to get. Most of them don't even get the ceremonial golden watch when they're kicked out the door. I mean, is it worth it anymore to do the type of work that they do every day? I have to tell you, I don't think it is. I really don't. My hat's off to the folks that still do it every day because I don't know if I could do it. I really don't. I like to look myself in the mirror and say if I was still able to do it, I would probably do it. But I honestly don't know anymore. Because the simple fact of the matter is there has been such a twist and a poisoning towards the police departments in this country. And let me tell you why. Should I tell you why now or should I make you wait? I don't know. Let's see what time it is. Oh, we've got a few minutes till the break. I think we'll save the big reveal till after the break. But let me tell you, there is an agenda. There's an agenda at the local level, there's an agenda at the state level, and there's an agenda at the national level. Let me tell you one of the biggest problems with local police departments, and it's not the rank and file officers on the street. It's the folks running the budgets and pulling the strings that are giving them orders. Case in point, Baltimore. The mayor specifically told her officers to stand by and do nothing while the city burned. I wonder why she did that. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more last half of the show too. But I wonder why she would do that. What possible motivation could she have to basically tell the local officers, nah. I mean, come on, I've played the clip before. If you want me to, I'll play it again, where she specifically says, we're going to give them room to destroy. And then she tries to walk it back and tries to say that it was taken out of context and that wasn't what she meant. My problem with it is, because honestly, when I first heard the quote, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, because you could almost feel that maybe she used the wrong word. Maybe she meant to say protest and accidentally said destroy. But then she goes all defensive and gets pissy and starts talking about how everybody's twisting her words. If you honestly didn't mean to say it, or you don't think you said it, why don't you go back and listen to it and say, hey, that wasn't what I meant. I apologize for any confusion. What I was trying to say is we're going to give people room to protest, not to destroy, because if that's what you meant, that's what you should have said. But she didn't. Now everybody's giving Baltimore PD crap because they stood by and watched. I've got to tell you, I don't think I would have done anything any differently. For what reason? Why is it worth it anymore for the rank-and-file cop to stand up when you know your community doesn't have your back? When hell, at this point, you know the President of the United States does not have your back. Why would you put the uniform on every day? Why would you do it? I've got to tell you, I'm not sure I would anymore. Actually, I can tell you right now, I know I won't. I wouldn't. If I was physically still able to do it, I would turn in my shield and I would do something else. Not because I don't still believe in it, but because nobody else believes in it anymore. Because we have, maybe 5, maybe 10% of the police department nationwide that are getting bad press, that are being made to look like the new Al-Qaeda, that are being made to look worse than ISIS, because everything you see in the press is highlighting something that a cop does that might not use the best judgment. Police officers are people. They're entitled to do stupid things just like every other person. I understand that as public servants, we should hold them to a higher standard. I do fully understand that. I'm not disputing that. But I'm telling you, there are times when we should look at it and go, I don't do that job. So maybe I don't understand it enough, because that's my biggest pet peeve with all of this crap, is all of these pencil-pushing, pencil-necked, limp-dick motherfuckers that want to sit back and talk about how the police should do things differently, and they should use pepper spray, and they should use their tasers, and why aren't they using rubber bullets? And do you realize how many of the people that the police deal with on a daily basis are hopped up on illegal substances? Have you ever tried to tase someone who was high as a kite on cocaine? Because I've seen it happen. I've seen them take the hit until the battery was drained, and they still keep trying to keep coming. This is the point nobody understands until you're there. Until you are there, until you have basically, maybe if you're lucky, 2 seconds to decide if you go home at night, or if the Joe Schmo that you're dealing with gets to kill you and go home that night, you don't have any damn room to talk. And what pisses me off is we have folks like this president who have never done anything with his life. What has he done? He's been a community organizer. What else has he done? Absolutely nothing. He's been a community organizer and an adjunct professor, which basically adds up to, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Then he went into politics. The perfect place for people that apparently don't know what the hell they're doing. And now what has he done? According to even Rod Eccles, who did a show with me several times over the last month, over and over again, the same thing when I asked him. Since Obama has taken office, race relations have gone back to pre-1963 levels. He said that over and over again, and this is not an old fat white guy. This is a person of color. This is a conservative, but he's still being honest. He's looking at everything and saying, look, things are worse now than they ever were. And as someone who deals with the police and still has friends that are police and listens to them and have friends that still work private security, and all of the other little aspects and facets of what is the overall law enforcement community, they have become the enemy. Is some of it by their own choosing? Choosing? Quite possibly. But you have to understand, when you put on a uniform every day, you put on something that sets you apart from everyone else that's around you, other than the other folks that are wearing the uniform. Because in this day and age, when you put on a uniform, I don't care if it's an IMSA uniform, a firefighter uniform, police uniform, private security uniform, everything short of, fast food uniform, where you're in the public eye and you are out there trying to assist the public, you put a target on your back. Everybody knows it. It's been in the back of everybody's mind since frickin' 9/11. If you are in a first responder capacity, you know that every day you put that uniform on, you are essentially putting a target on your back. This young man that died in New York proved that fact hands down. Where's the president going to be at his funeral? Is he going to be there? Is he going to send an entourage? I guarantee you he's not. You know why he's not? Because it doesn't fit his narrative. And I'll explain to you when we come back from break here in a couple minutes what exactly his narrative is and why there has been such a shift. Now, Bryce and I, actually, when I come back, I'll explain a little bit more. Bryce and I actually are going to be looking at this from differing angles because I am seeing more and more whisperings and hintings of this, and I want us both to do research because we're both pretty good at research. And I have to admit, as I am a conservative, sometimes the stuff that I research can be a little biased, and sometimes the stuff that he researches is liberal. It's also a little biased, so I'm figuring maybe we can find the truth in the middle. So over the next few weeks, once I get back from the Southern Republican Leadership Conference, we will be discussing what we're going to be talking about when I come back from break. We're going to go ahead and roll the break now because it is going to be a little bit longer than usual because got a lot of stuff to fit in there. Want to make sure we get it all. We'll be right back here in just a couple minutes, and then we will go into the big reveal, I guess you might say. Just saying.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will...
So sue me, I decided to change it up. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be right back after these commercial messages. Don't go anywhere. Well, you can, but make sure you come back. Just saying.
IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Terroeists. Terroeists has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Terroeists. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes in...
Listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works.
President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before.
Did someone say green?
Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind?
Now, do you say good things about me on the show?
No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much.
The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation.
Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo?
I got a pen. I can veto that, you know.
I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it.
Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either.
That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
Hey, it's Cliff Davis from KLCI FM, the best radio station in the world. Coming soon. Stay tuned.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Also known as The Bunny, and you're listening to America Off the Rails.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We are at the bottom of the hour at this point, so now it's time to get into the meat of the show. What is the agenda with all of the race baiting and everything else that's been going on? Let me give you my little tinfoil hat scenario, because let's not forget, for the last, maybe year and a half, how many visits to the White House has the tax evader Al Sharpton made? Do you think that's a coincidence? Because I honestly don't believe in coincidence, I have to tell you. My life experience has taught me that there really is no such thing as a coincidence. There's always a pattern if you know where to look. So let's start looking. So for the last several years, Al Sharpton has had the president's ear. He's made multiple trips to the White House. This, of course, also being while we have verifiable proof that he's currently a tax-evading criminal, yet he is meeting with the White House and the president on a weekly, almost daily basis. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but hey, work with me here. So anyway, so we've got that. So I wonder what all those meetings are about. And then you have the stupid things that he said almost since day one. You know, calling out police for being stupid, acting stupidly. If I had a son, Trayvon would look like me. Then it went to if I was, a few years younger, Trayvon could have been me instead of Trayvon. Talks about how he always felt like when he was a kid, people would cross the street to get away from him and yada 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 blah blah blah. So, do you really think, with as much deep-seated resentment as the president has, that there's not an agenda here? Let's be real honest. Just think about it for a second. Let the wheels start turning just a little bit. I know some of you don't want to look in some of the places that I look into, but there are patterns if you see where to look. The simple fact of the matter is, he's always had a disdain for authority figures. It's proven over and over and over again in both his actions and his words. The police right now at the local level are the ultimate symbol of authority. Now, what if I told you that some of the stuff that's happening right now has probably been engineered to a point? I'm not saying they have gone out and specifically at the federal level started these problems. But let me tell you something that you may not know. The mayor of Baltimore is on an advisory council that the president has put together to see about trying to find a way to institute a national police force. Now, of course, they're meeting under other auspices, but if you read between the lines, there's a pretty good shot that's exactly what this is about. They want to try to find a way to nationalize the police force. There's an old quote that eventually either you limit government or government limits you. We have gotten to the point where we are about to start seriously being limited by our government if we don't start paying attention. Now, again, why would they want a national police force? It's all about control. Same reason why they wanted the National Education Association. Look at what has happened to education in this country since that organization was founded. You can make all the excuses that you want. I don't care. Look at the numbers. Look at where we were as a world power before we started abdicating all of this crap to the federal government. And then you have stories like you have here, where there's millions and millions and millions of dollars being poured into education all over the place. And we have towns that need to pass bond issues because they can't afford to rebuild their schools. And their local residents haven't passed a bond issue to fix their schools in forever because they're scratching their heads going, where's all the tax money going that I'm paying now? Why do I need to pass another bond issue? Then you've got the stuff going on in Kansas, where they've already started to shut down some of the schools for lack of funding. You know, everybody wants to point their fingers at the Republicans on all of this stuff. And, you know, who knows? I'll look into it a little more. Maybe they deserve some of the blame. But let's look at where the money's actually going, because I guarantee you it's not getting where it needs to go. I mean, I heard a story once, and it is only a story, but I heard a story once that a janitor in New York City public school system actually was once able to retire, take the money that they had earned, and buy a yacht. If your janitors are making enough money to afford to buy a yacht and your kids are using 20-year-old textbooks, there's a problem. You know, in Baltimore specifically, there was a kid that was recorded in an interview because they let them out of school because of all the protests. And he said, what's the point in me going to school? I'm using a 20-year-old textbook. Where's all the money going? You know, Baltimore's like liberal utopia. I mean, where's all their tax money for schools going? Where's it at? Who's it going to? Because it obviously ain't getting to the kids. If we've got kids in Baltimore using 20-year-old textbooks, you want to talk about how there's... I mean, even the president the other day said something that pissed me off to no end. Talking about how there's all these disparages or differences, and in some cases they actually happen from birth. You know what? If you don't have anything positive to say, there are times when you just need to sit down and shut the hell up. Because this is still the greatest country on the planet, or at least it was, until you started screwing with it. The simple fact of the matter is, you still have the capability here in this country, if you know how to do it, to take something and build it from nothing and turn it into something. There are very few other places in the world where you have the freedom to start out with no money and initiative and just initiative and try to see if you can make something. But it happens here all the time. And it doesn't happen, 90% of it does not happen from the college-educated elites. Most of the people that nowadays find ways to innovate and find ways to make differences where they can actually take something and turn it into something that make a profit, most of these people don't even go to college. Not because they're not smart enough to go to college, but because they're bored to fucking tears and they don't want to listen to a liberal professor talk about how great everything is if you're a liberal. If everything is so great when you're a liberal, why the hell is Detroit on fire? Why did Baltimore burn? If everything's so great when you're a liberal. Because of the liberal agenda. The liberal agenda, and I don't mean folks like Dave. I'm talking about the liberal agenda from all the folks like this Bernie, what the hell, Bernie Sanders? You know, Mr. Socialism dude. You don't think that a lot of this has to do with that? Then you're not paying attention. They want the capitalist government system to run into the ground so that somebody has to come in and swoop up and pick up the freaking pieces. They're trying to do the same thing to the police departments. They want them to fail. They want them to collapse. They want there to be anarchy because then the federal government has to step in. If the federal government steps in, then we have again given them more control than they were ever by our founding documents designed to have. Do you know there was no such thing as a federal government in our original founding documents? There was a general government. Do you know when it became the federal government? Was right about the time that the North and the South, the Civil War was finished. Before that time, anytime anyone referred to the United States, they used a very particular phrase. I live in these United States of America. Do you think it's a coincidence that there is a department at the federal level called the State Department? State is another word for a country. Each one of our states was independent and sovereign. Now, I'm not going to say that the Civil War shouldn't have happened. I'm not going to say that it didn't have a lot to do with slavery. But the issue with it, and this is, I'm telling you, if you look, the agenda has been going on for about that long. And I know some of you right now are going, holy crap, he's officially gone off the rails. Well, it is the title of the show. I'm just saying. But if you really start looking and digging, you can find tie-ins to the agenda all the way back. It's about control. It has been from day one. You know, our founding fathers had this great idea of being able to give people freedom. The problem is, even they admitted that they thought this experiment, which is our country, would probably last around 50 years. I submit they weren't that far off, because it's changed so much within maybe 100 years of its inception that it wasn't even recognizable as they had intended any longer, because we had started giving more and more control to the federal government, which was by design. It was by design. It was out of necessity, and that's what they made everybody think, but it was by design. And then again, World War I, more control was given to the government. World War II, more control was given to the government. 9/11, more control was given to the government. Every time something happens that gets people's attention, they use it to wrest away more control. Because they have designed a self-perpetuating system. There are no term limits for anybody other than the president. There ought to be, but there aren't. So each side is concerned with perpetuating its own power, adding to its power base, continuing to build the power base, and continuing to build up its rank and file. All at the expense of we the people. Baltimore, Ferguson, New York City are all prime examples of an extension of this same philosophy. They are trying to wrest away another point of control. Don't know about you, but I can't say that I'm one of these guys that jet sets and I've been to all these other countries, but I can tell you that I have seen documentaries about nationalized police forces in other countries, and I don't want that here. But it's what they're pushing for, because it's going to give them more control. And at some point, if they keep painting such a drastic, bad picture about all of this, it's going to be exactly what they're going to get, and we're going to hand it to them lock, stock, and barrel. Not because we should, but because we're going to. Alright, I don't usually do this, but as you can tell, I need to take a quick drink, and I don't want to mute you while we're doing it. So I'm going to take another quick commercial break. We will be right back here in just a couple minutes. And I guess I technically already have that one queued up, so we'll be right back.
Mark your calendar for May 21st through the 23rd for the Southern Republican Leadership Conference in Oklahoma City. K98 Talk's Rick Robinson and Grouchy from the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show will be there to cover each day's events. Join them at the conference to hear keynote Republican speakers. Now, here's Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin.
On behalf of the Oklahoma Republican Party and the entire Southern Republican Leadership Conference Committee, welcome to Oklahoma City, ranked by the National Geographic as one of the must-see places in the world in 2015. I'm Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin, and the road to win back the White House begins in Oklahoma City with a Southern Republican Leadership Conference. Your participation in this historic conference is crucial to the conservative cause and energizing America. The 2016 presidential election promises to be the most important election in our lifetime, and the choices that we make in the next 2 years will define America for the next generation. We're excited to host you in Oklahoma as we begin our shared Republican journey towards capturing the White House and getting this country back on track.
Don't miss this opportunity to hear well-known leaders from the Republican Party as they discuss the upcoming presidential race for 2016 and where they stand on issues facing America today. It starts May 21st and runs through the 23rd. To register, go online to okgop.com or contact the Oklahoma Republican Party. Seats are going fast, so register today. The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. We are into the last 15 minutes of the show at this point. Just going to keep going where we left off here and basically just try to see if we can help you maybe put a couple of the dots together. I mean, think about it for a second. Why would somebody like Al Sharpton keep going into the White House unless there was an agenda? Why would the president keep sending entourages to areas where he knows that people are going to get pissed off? Because you're not sending them to the folks that really matter, but you're going to send them to a funeral for a thug. Yes, I said it. He's a thug. You know what? I don't give a damn. I've already lost Facebook friends over the Ferguson incident, and some of them were actually real-life friends, people that I worked with, that I cared about, that got mad at me because I gave them my opinion, and I'm going to give you my opinion again. If you are dumb enough and stupid enough to buck up to a fucking police officer just because you think you're Billy Badass, then at some point, if you push it to a certain point, you're going to get what you've got coming to you, and that's nobody's fault but yours. Because the simple fact of the matter is, I'm going to say this because I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. The biggest problem going on in our country right now is we have this generation that's been raised by these parents who basically would cave in anytime they offered up any resistance. So what's happening now is we have all of these children that have now become adults that have never faced any actual resistance when they try to do anything stupid. Because no matter what, eventually the parents fucking cave in. And then what winds up happening is they wind up doing something stupid in public, and then instead of having to deal with their parents, they have to deal with the police officers who can't cave in, because if they cave in, there is complete and total anarchy, much like what happened in Baltimore when those officers were sitting on their hands, which is not any fault of theirs. The simple fact of the matter is the person that signs their paychecks told them not to do their job. If anybody deserves any grief over the Baltimore incident, it's the mayor. But you know what? She's not going to get it, because if you say anything about her, you're automatically a racist. And she's not going to get it because she's part of the presidential's council on seeing about how to take away our local police department. So you tell me again there's a coincidence that she ordered her people to sit on their hands and watch her city burn when she's a part of that group. How is that a coincidence? You explain that to me, and send me an email, shoot me a tweet. Tell me I'm wrong, because at this point I gotta tell you, I am angry. And I've been angry again for a while now, and it's not getting any better. So let me tell you exactly why I'm angry. Because we keep abdicating our damned responsibilities. We keep thinking, well, eventually, we'll vote the right folks into office and then they're gonna fix this mess. How's that working out? Because guess what we did? We gave the Republicans as close to a mandate as they're probably ever going to get in this polarizing of a climate in the middle of an election cycle, and they ain't done anything with it except for shore up their own power base. It's the same thing that I've said over and over and over again. The only thing that honestly changes is which direction the money's flowing. So when are we going to stand up? When are we going to tell them no more? When are we going to remind these schlubs in D.C., including the president, that technically he works for us, not the other way around? You know, and every time I even say that statement anymore, I keep being reminded in my own head of Chris Rock, shortly after the president's election the first time, talking about how the president and the first lady are our parents, or are like our parents, and we should listen to them, and we should defer to them. Chris Rock, you're a dumbass. Probably never going to hear me say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. You, sir, are a dumbass. Because the simple fact of the matter is, the government, the people that are in the government, they're supposed to be public servants. They don't serve us anymore. We serve them. We just don't realize it anymore. They take money out of our paychecks every day to pay their salaries, to pay for things that none of us give a damn about. You know, I've said it before, even about gay marriage. Hey, you know what? If Adam and Steve want to marry each other, guess what? As long as I don't have to pay for it, I don't give a fuck. Don't put it on my dime. Don't make it come out of my taxes. Don't make me personally responsible for it, and I don't care. I don't care what they do behind closed doors. I don't care what they do in public. And you'll have to forgive me because I live rather close to an Air Force base, and apparently we have a rather large plane flying over, and it's rumbling pretty loudly in my headset, so I'm sure you're probably hearing it too. At least I think that's what that is. Either that or I'm having an earthquake. Nothing's shaking, so I think it's a plane flying over. Okay, I think it's about done. But let's be real. Can we just be real for 5 minutes? Can we put all the political correctness aside? Can we put all the namby-pamby, gotta be super sweet and nice to everybody thing aside? And can we just be real and be honest for 5 minutes? The simple fact of the matter is, this country is in shambles. We have the lowest labor participation rate since the Great Depression. We have the highest enrollment in food stamps ever. We have the highest enrollment in things like Social Security disability benefits ever, because now if you can tell them you have a severe headache, they can find a way to get you Social Security, apparently. We have a healthcare system in crisis because of Obamacare, this lovely bill that we had to pass to find out what was in it, even though we were specifically told that all of the discussions about this bill were going to take place on C-SPAN. We have a president who told us from the beginning he was going to be the most transparent administration ever. I submit to you he succeeded, but not in the way you think. He has been the most transparent. This has been the most transparent administration ever. The most transparently corrupt administration ever, because they don't even hide it. They don't even try to hide it. I mean, Christ, 4 people died and he went to freaking Las Vegas after he disappeared. And no, I haven't forgotten about Benghazi. I'm never going to forget about Benghazi. Neither should you. Because that's the future of every single one of our men and women in uniform when they no longer serve a purpose. They will be left somewhere to die. That is the one thing that has never happened. Not intentionally. And even if something went wrong and something went terribly wrong, we still made sure that they got to come home. We didn't leave them behind. That changed in Benghazi. I mean, you want to talk about paradigm shifts? They're happening all around us. The one that's happening more frequently lately is the one about the police department, but it's not the only one. Look at all of the stirrings and the uprisings from clergy in the military about them getting in trouble for trying to give people Bibles. I mean, come on, there's stories about this stuff cropping up everywhere. And you tell me we don't have a problem. Something else I was going to touch on, and I guess I probably will for the last couple of minutes. You know, ISIS is claiming responsibility for the incident in, I believe it was Grove, Texas. President said anything about that yet? Has he made a statement decrying it yet? You know what the media is doing? They're blaming the event coordinators for putting it together in the first place. Now, I was honest with you last night. I told you that if I were in that position, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I'm not saying that nobody else should have done it. I'm telling you that personally, I don't like when people make fun of my religion, so I'm not going to intentionally do it to someone else's, even one as back-asswards as this one. I'm not going to be that guy. But everyone has the free speech right to be that guy, because the First Amendment does not give you the right to not be offended. It gives you the right to, when someone offends you, to tell them to shut the hell up. That's what the First Amendment's good for. And yet, we have ISIS, who has claimed responsibility for the incident in Texas, and a White House that has said absolutely nothing. Except for probably a private phone call behind closed doors that was Assalamu alaikum, Allahu Akbar. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's just, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I just feel like every day when I get up, that somehow I feel like I've slid just that much more into the Twilight Zone. And I honestly am really starting to feel that way. I try not to. I really do. I really don't try to basically feel like I'm crazy and I'm losing my mind. But it doesn't work. Because I look around at the world around me, and the only thing I keep thinking over and over again is the little old lady that got mad at the other little old lady on the insurance commercial that keeps screaming over and over again. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this is supposed to work. This is not how our government is supposed to work. Our government is supposed to work for us, not the other way around. How much, if you really ever stop to think about how much of your tax money or your money from your paycheck goes to pay for the schlubs that are telling you that you're too much of a dumbass to know what you need to do with your life? Because I have. Think about it for a second. Let's say that you're about like me and you've got your own business and you've got a day job and you've got, your wife who works too, and then you sit down and you figure it out one time, and you really just for giggles, you're like, hey, let's see how much they're actually taking, and then you figure it up, and then you look, and there's a few things that you can write off, and you've got this and you've got that, but then there's still a 36% tax bill between the business, the wife, and the you. That means in an 8-hour day, I'm working to pay the federal government for the first 2.5 hours of every day I'm there. 2.5 hours. And you tell me we don't have a tax problem in this country. I tell you, kiss my ass. Alright, so at this point, this will be the end of this episode of America Off the Rails, and I will be back with you tomorrow, now that I have actually been able to free up enough time to be back on the Wednesday lineup. Sadly, Bunny will not be with us tomorrow. She is on vacation. However, we'll probably run a replay for her because, can't have a Wednesday night without the Bunny. So make sure you're tuning in anyway, because you'll still get the Double R, otherwise known as the Rowdy One. You'll get the Grouch, and then you'll get the Bunny in replay form, and then the Wilkins. Now, tonight, as soon as this show ends, if you missed it, you can catch the Liz Harrison radio show. It'll be running again for the next hour as soon as this show ends. And then I will be back in the producer's chair for The Right Angle from 8 to 9 with Bill and Leslie, who have a very special guest who is joining them from Fox Business News. So make sure you tune in and check that out. Okay, at this point, this is Rick Robinson. I'm going to call it a night. Go grab some dinner real quick, and I'll be right back with you in about an hour, pushing buttons and turning knobs. I'll be back with you tomorrow night as well, live right here on the air. Some of you are cheering, others of you are crying. For those of you that are crying, shut the hell up. All right, we're going to call it a night, folks. I'll be back with you here in just a little bit. And again, I will be back with you live tomorrow. Now, Thursday, I may actually have to take the night off. We have had a scheduling conflict thanks to Mother's Day. The wife's job is requiring that she change schedule for a couple of days, so a lot of the errands that she runs to make sure that I'm free to do this stuff, I may have to do on Thursday. So if I'm not with you, we will definitely make sure we've got some sort of a cool replay up, and I may or may not have a surprise coming Thursday. I'm not sure if it's going to be this Thursday or next Thursday, but I will let you know as soon as I'm allowed to tell you. Just saying. All right, folks, enjoy the rest of your night. I am out of here. I'm going to go eat something. I'm going to go... wife brought me some Chinese food, so I'm going to go grub like a fat kid. See you guys tomorrow.
Don't